Right now, while you're standing there, I want you to picture the inside of the pipe under your kitchen sink, not the shiny outside, the inside. 6 months ago, that pipe was a clean, open, 2-inch circle, and water had the whole channel to move through. Today, if I dropped a camera down there, I'd bet money the opening is down to about the width of a pencil. A hard, brown, waxy ring, closing in a little more every single week. And you didn't do one thing wrong that you'd ever notice. You cooked, you washed dishes, you brushed your hair over the sink, you lived in your house. The pipe just quietly kept score. Every bit of that narrowing was preventable for about the price of a cup of coffee. Stay with me all the way to the end, because I'm going to knock down the one myth that costs homeowners more money than anything else on this list. It's about hot water and grease. Almost everybody believes it, and it is dead wrong. So how does a wide open 2-inch pipe end up choked down to a pencil? One thin layer at a time. Think about the inside of an artery. Nobody wakes up one morning with a blocked artery. It's decades of a little film, a little more, until the channel that used to be wide is a narrow little straw. Your drain works the exact same way. Every time greasy water, soap, food, and hair go down, they leave behind a whisper-thin coat of organic gunk on the pipe wall. On its own, one meal's worth is nothing. But that film is sticky, and it grabs the next bit of grease and the next clump of hair, and it builds. Month after month, the pipe gets narrower, and the water moves slower, until one ordinary Tuesday, the whole thing gives up and backs up into your sink. And here's what I want you to really hear. Once that ring is built up, there's no cheap fix. You are into a service call. A simple drain cleaning runs $150 to $300 for one fixture. And if the grease has gone all the way out to your main line, you are looking at a lot more than that. A real backup into the house where you're paying to clean up what came back up can run into the thousands. So the whole game, the entire game, is keeping that film from ever stacking up in the first place. That's what the 7 habits do. None of them are hard. None of them cost real money. Let's go. Habit number 1. Put a strainer or a screen on every single drain in the house. Kitchen sink, bathroom sinks, the tub, the shower. These little baskets and mesh screens cost you $2, $3, $4, $5 each at any hardware store. And they do one simple thing. They catch the trouble at the surface where you can see it and throw it away instead of letting it wash down into the dark where it turns into a clog. Because here's the pattern I see in every house. In the bathroom, the number one thing that clogs a drain is hair. Not sometimes. Almost every time. In the kitchen, it's food scraps. A screen stops both of them cold. You empty it into the trash, you rinse it, you put it back. 10 seconds. I've walked into houses paying $200 to snake a tub, and the whole problem was a winter's worth of hair that a $2 screen would have caught. Get one for every drain. This is the cheapest insurance in your entire home. And do me a favor in the kitchen especially. Get the good basket strainer, the kind that actually sits down in the drain opening, not the flimsy flat screen that slides around and lets half of everything pass. Scrape your plates into the trash or the compost before they ever touch the sink, and let that basket catch whatever's left. Your garbage disposal is not a second trash can. The less you send down in the first place, the less there is to ever build up. Habit number 2, and this is the big one for the kitchen. Zero grease down the drain. None. Not bacon fat, not the oil you fried in, not the buttery water off a pan. Here's why I'm so hard about this. Warm grease pours like a liquid, so it feels harmless going down. But grease doesn't stay warm. The second it hits that cooler pipe, it does exactly what candle wax does when it drips onto a holder. It stops moving, and it sets. Hard. And it sets right on the pipe wall. And every greasy thing after it sticks to that spot. Grease is the #1 cause of kitchen buildup, hands down. And it's the thing that builds those cement-hard clogs way out in the line where no home tool can reach. So here's what to do instead. Keep an old can or a jar by the stove. When a pan's got grease in it, pour it in the can. Wipe the pan out with a paper towel before it ever gets to the sink. When the can fills up, it goes in the trash. That's it. You just took the single biggest clog maker in your kitchen and sent it to the garbage where it belongs, instead of gluing it to the inside of your pipes. And look at the trade you just made. A paper towel and an old coffee can that cost you nothing, standing against a grease clog out in the main line that a plumber has to blast out with a high-pressure machine. That's a nothing habit sitting between you and a $400, $500, $600 bill. I'll take that trade every single day of the week. Habit number 3. Once a month, feed each drain something that eats the film before it can stack up. There are bioenzymatic drain treatments made for exactly this. Bioenzymatic just means it's live bacteria and enzymes that digest the organic gunk, the soap and food and slime coating in your pipe, and turn it into nothing. A monthly dose runs you about $1 or $2 per drain. If you want to go even cheaper, a big scoop of washing soda followed by hot tap water does a gentler version of the same job. Either way, you're not blasting a clog. You're keeping the walls clean so a clog never forms. Do it the first of every month so you remember. One pass through the whole house takes 5 minutes. And here's why I trust the enzymes over the harsh chemical stuff. Those bacteria only eat the organic gunk, the grease, and the food and the soap film. They don't touch your pipe. They don't chew on your rubber seals. They just keep working quietly for a day or two after you pour them in. Think back to that artery again. This is the habit that keeps the walls scrubbed clean, so the channel stays wide and open. You're not reacting to a problem. You're making sure the problem never finds a place to start. Quick pause before the next habit. If this is your speed, my book is the same plain talk for your whole house. 100 old house fixes that save you. Thousands. It leans hard on catching slow hidden leaks before they rot a floor or a cabinet, and on telling when a cheap patch is fine and when it's hiding a bigger bill. Links in the description, or scan the code on screen. All right? Step back and look at the whole house for a second, because these next habits protect every drain at once, not just the one that's giving you trouble today. And while we're here, let me answer the question some of you are already asking. Why did nobody in my trade ever sit you down and tell you any of this? I'll be straight with you. It's not a conspiracy. It's just math. There's no money in prevention. Nobody's getting rich telling you to buy a $2 screen and pour a scoop of washing soda down your sink once a month. The money is in the emergency, the truck in the driveway, the machine and the invoice. So the trade talks all day about clearing clogs and almost never about the boring little habits that keep the clog from ever forming. I don't hold that against anybody. That's just how the business shakes out. But you're the one who pockets a few $100s a year by knowing it. So I'm going to keep telling you. Habit number 4. Once a week in the kitchen, run a good flush of hot tap water with a squirt of dish soap down the drain. Not a clog buster, a rinse. The dish soap breaks up any thin film of oil that snuck through, and the hot water carries it out while it's still soft and thin. Now, some of you are already frowning, saying, Roger, you told me grease and hot water are the enemy, and now you want me running a hot water? Fair question. Here's the difference. This is a clean drain getting a light rinse, with soap doing the work of lifting oil off the wall. What you never want is a pile of actual grease plus hot water, thinking the heat washes it away. That's a whole different animal, and I'll show you exactly why at the end. Habit number 5. If you've got a garbage disposal, run cold water. Cold, not hot. Turn the cold tap on before you flip the switch, and leave it running for a solid 20 to 30 seconds after you shut the disposal off. Here's the logic, and it's the same logic behind everything else I've told you. Cold water keeps any fat in the food solid. Solid fat gets chopped into little bits by the disposal and flushed straight out with the water. Warm fat turns to liquid, slides past the disposal, and rehardens downstream where you can't reach it. So cold keeps it hard, chopped, and gone. That 20 to 30 seconds of cold water after you're done is what actually carries the ground up bits all the way out of the trap instead of leaving them sitting right under your sink. That U-shaped bend under there, the trap, is the low spot where ground up bits love to settle. Those extra seconds of cold water are what push them up and over that bend and out into the bigger line, where they wash away for good instead of parking in the one spot closest to you. Habit number 6. Keep the things that don't break down out of your drains and toilets no matter what the box tells you. Number 1 on that list is flushable wipes. I put flushable in air quotes because they do not break down the way toilet paper does. Wastewater crews will tell you wipes are the single biggest thing they pull out of blocked lines. And in an older home with older pipes, they snag and they stay. Trash can, not toilet. Same rule for coffee grounds. They clump like wet sand. Fibrous stuff like celery strings and potato peels. They wrap and tangle. And starchy stuff like rice and pasta, because those swell up with water and turn into a paste that binds everything together. If it swells, clumps, or refuses to rot, it does not go down your drain. It goes in the garbage. I know the box says flushable, and I know it feels a little wasteful to drop a wipe in the trash, but I have pulled ropes of those things out of lines in houses just like yours, still holding together months after somebody flushed them, wrapped around everything else like a net catching fish. In an old home with old pipe, that isn't a maybe. That's a win. Habit number 7. Every so often, pull your pop-up stoppers and clean out the hair catchers. The pop-up is that little plug in your bathroom sink you lift with the rod behind the faucet. Most of the time, it just pulls straight up and out. And I promise you, you are going to be disgusted by what's wrapped around it. Because most bathroom sink and tub slowdowns aren't a clog deep in the pipe at all. It's a wad of hair snagged right there at the stopper, catching soap and gunk. Pull it, clean it off, rinse it, drop it back in. No tools, no chemicals, and 9 times out of 10 your slow drain is suddenly fast again. Do that before you ever think about calling anybody. So that's the 7. Now let me spend a minute on the problems that send people reaching for their phone or their wallet, because most of them you can handle yourself. Bathroom sink draining slow. Do not buy anything yet. Pull that stopper first, like I just said. That's the fix 9 times out of 10. Hearing a gurgle when it drains? That's usually air, a venting thing. And it's telling you the flow's getting restricted, so it's a nudge to run your enzyme dose and clean your screens. Kitchen sink that keeps clogging no matter what you do? That's grease. Full stop. Go back to habit 2 and get ruthless about it, because the drain is telling you it's still getting fed. Now, here's the one time I want you to stop and actually pick up the phone, because knowing when to touch it and when to leave it alone is the whole point of this channel. If just one drain is slow, that's a local clog, and that's yours to handle with everything I've shown you today. But if every drain in the house goes sluggish at the same time, or your lowest drain gurgles, or backs up when you run water somewhere else in the house, that is not a sink problem anymore. That's your main line, out where it leaves the house, and that is a real service call. Same story if you ever get a sewage smell or water coming back up at you. Do not fight that one with a plunger and a prayer. That's the situation a pro is actually for, and trying to save a few bucks there is how you end up mopping out a basement. Saving money means knowing that difference cold. And here's what I want you steered away from. Those caustic chemical drain cleaners, the ones that promise to melt a clog. In an older home, that stuff can chew on your pipes. And if it doesn't clear the clog, it just sits in there. And now the plumber you eventually call is reaching into a pipe full of acid. Skip it. And never ever mix drain products together. Mixing chemicals is how people end up making poison gas under their own sink. One more. If you do use hot water on a drain, use hot tap water, not a boiling kettle. A lot of home pipe and the traps under your sinks are PVC, that white plastic. And PVC is only rated to about 140 degrees. Boiling water is 212. Pour that in over and over, and you soften the plastic and loosen the glued joints. And now you've got a leak on top of everything else. Hot tap water does the job without cooking your pipes. Okay? The myth I promised you. The one costing people the most money. You've heard it your whole life. Just run hot water and the grease washes right there. It sounds so reasonable. Hot water melts grease. Grease goes down. Problem solved. It is completely wrong. And it's the reason so many kitchen lines are packed solid. Here's what actually happens. The hot water does melt the grease right there at the sink, so it slides down looking gone. But that water cools off fast as it travels. And the second it cools, that grease turns back into a solid. Except now it's not at your sink where you could deal with it. It's 10, 15, 20 feet down the line, hardening into a ring in a spot no plunger and no home snake will ever reach. You didn't get rid of the grease. You just moved the clog somewhere expensive. That's the whole trick. And it's why every real fix on this list points the same direction. Keep the grease out, keep the fat cold and solid, and let a clean pipe stay clean. Remember that candle wax, warm and pouring nice and easy at the sink, hard as a rock 10 feet down the line. The heat never removed one bit of it. All the heat did was choose where it hardened, and it never once chooses your side. So the real question was never whether hot water melts grease. Of course it does, for about 4 feet. The real question is where that grease decides to stop. And every single one of these habits is just you deciding that for it, on your terms, for a pocket change, instead of letting a pipe decide it for you on a Sunday night with a service truck in the driveway. One last pointer to that book, because it carries today's idea across your whole house. 100 old house fixes that save you thousands. Inside is a room-by-room checklist and a simple seasonal calendar, so you know what to check and when. Plus, how to ask a contractor the right questions and never get talked into a big repair a small one would fix. Links in the description or scan the code on screen. And if you want more of this straight talk, subscribe to Roger the Pipe Guy. More old house fixes that keep your money in your pocket instead of somebody else's. See you on the next one.